you start looking for the ones with the most awkward nose rubs.
It's the Chive Cast, the Star Wars Collector's Archive podcast, a monthly audio magazine dedicated to vintage Star Wars toys and memorabilia. Hosted by Skye Payne, Fudd, and Stephen B. Denley. Market data by Brisbane Mike and Fratastic Pete. Tech support by the Low Lord. Let's go, space freaks! This month, we address the most underrated alien in the Star Wars saga, the Gamorrean Guard, with his unproduced Micro Collection Sculpts, his clothing, toiletries, his bench shots, and his tragic demise in the mouth of the Rancor. Crunchee! Justin, Trent, and Mike from the Collector's Galaxy podcast and Imperial Commissary have a special crossover episode to discuss their show and collecting habits. All this, plus absolutely nothing else, on the 80th Star Wars Collector's Archive podcast. Wampa Wampa!
Welcome to Podcast number 80.
The big 80, Steve. You know, this is actually the 7th year that we've been doing the show.
That's right.
I mean, this is technically our January episode, although
yes,
we've already released 2 episodes this January, one of which was the December episode, so it's all too confusing.
Very, very. I mean, it wouldn't be the Chive Cast if it wasn't a little bit confusing.
Yeah, that's right. And we recorded our first blog pod, and
that
got
I'm glad you said that, not me.
Got a lot of great response. I think people. Yeah. I don't know, maybe they just like the mix-up or something, or just how pointed it is. But I feel like we got the best feedback we've gotten for a long time on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're just definitely going to be doing another one of those. Actually, Steve, I have one planned already. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What's it going to be?
It's going to be interviewing these 2 guys who are on that show that Mark Hamill hosts about Star Wars collecting.
Okay.
So that's going to be even later in January. We're going to interview David Mandel and Steve, who are both on a TV show. But we haven't talked about that yet. Stay tuned for the next blog pod. Who's our figure of the month, Steve?
The good old Gamorrean Guard.
Yes.
The
Gamorrean Guard. Now, is his name Pig Guard or Gamorrean Pig Guard? Why do we call him Pig Guard?
Okay, so that's funny you ask, because it's actually was going to be my flip the script, if you want to jump straight to that.
You know, okay, so for people who haven't listened to the show before, every once in a while Steve, who's an archivist, looks through the old scripts and finds interesting things about the character of the month. And actually, I wanted to say Pig Guard because my kids are not asleep yet. I'm going to be putting them to bed right before we get on the phone with the Imperial Commissary guys.
Yeah.
And so I know my daughter is in the hallway upstairs listening, and she loves pigs. So I imagine that she's very excited listening to this.
She's listening through the door now.
Yeah, I think she is. So she's very excited about Pig Guard. So what we do is we have Steve flip a script, which means he looks into the history of the characters, and I play a really stupid drop that goes like this.
It's getting really, really hot in here.
Flip the script.
Flip the script.
Okay, Steve. So before we even get to my movie thought, what is the flipping script on the Gamorrean Pig Guard?
It's nothing too revolutionary, but I just thought that it was interesting that they are mentioned in the rough draft of the script, but not by name. So they're really just described as these giant green scaly guards that accompany Bib Fortuna, who is named. And so what I kind of picked it up from there and was looking to see if I could find any artwork and stuff. And some of Ralph McQuarrie's earlier sketches of like palace guards are these large, almost gorilla-like guys. And
Gorilla?
It reminded me of, it almost looked like that Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie, if that makes any sense.
Oh, the best of the Planet of the Apes movies, definitely.
Oh, man.
Yes.
I didn't know that was your opinion.
Yeah. Send all your emails agreeing or disagreeing to sbdanley@aol.com.
Oh, man.
No. Even me, the great contrarian, recognizes that as the worst Planet of the Apes movies. Although I still enjoy it. I think Tim Roth's performance is outstanding, and Helena Bonham Carter is excellent.
There are things to take away from that are good, but man, that is a whack movie.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, so they kind of started off gorilla-like, and then Joe Johnston was the one that kind of picked up from there, and they eventually became pig-like, and it was during the production of the movie that the name Pig Guard kind of came around. I think that's what most of the crew used. So that's, I think, where Pig Guard comes from. But I was kind of, fascinated to see that. I don't know if you've seen that documentary, that old documentary from Star Wars to Jedi.
Absolutely. They're really featured in that documentary.
Yes, they are. That's like one of those things I remember very vividly when I first saw it. I was like, whoa, like to see how they were made, basically. But what's interesting is that there's one scene where it has Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher just behind the scenes at Jabba's palace, and he actually refers to them when they're just talking as Gamorrean Guards. So it was neat to see the name kind of iterated and spoken while the movie was being made. So anyway, that's not a crazy flip script, but it's something. So
but it's interesting. Are the Gamorrean Guards supposed to be like Bib Fortuna's personal guards? I've never thought of them that way. They're more just palace guards, right? Yeah,
they're just like the general palace guards, but they're mentioned as kind of being in the little entourage that greet R2 and 3PO. That idea is way back at the beginning. So.
And I'm wondering, I think they're pretty influential because there's tons of pig guards throughout all of science fiction. I'm actually the kids and I, we play a lot of Zelda, and we're playing Windwalker now, which is a great game. And there's like always these just sort of random pig enemies that just show up out of nowhere in the Zelda universe, and I always think of them as being like Gamorrean guards.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But for my money, the Gamorrean Guard is the most underrated alien in the entire Star Wars saga.
I could buy into that. All right, let's hear some more.
Well, I mean, it's mostly nostalgic, right? Like I remember that documentary, and I loved it. And when I was a kid, I just loved the design. I thought they were so cool. I thought they were funny. They're tough. The figure, which obviously we care about a lot on the show. After we have the interview with the Imperial Commissary guys, we're going to talk a lot about the figure and nuggets and stuff like that. Just it was one of the weightiest and just best figures to play with. And I think we're going to see that my whole anti-nostalgia stance is going to fade away the more that we get into Jedi figures.
That's just going to be the same for both of us. So
so we've been acting tough this whole time just because we didn't have a Death Star droid memory in 1978.
Right. Yeah.
But another thing, if you've never listened to our show before, I do think we're getting more listeners, Steve. That's why I kind of start off like this. Usually, before we get to the script flipping, we have Skye's movie thought.
Yes.
Now, you would think that I would go on some kind of discussion about whether or not Luke is using the dark side when he chokes the Gamorrean guards, right?
Yeah, right.
That's interesting, but not as interesting as I want to start a new cause. So this is the thing, right? Like, Troopies is on fire, right? Everybody knows that everyone now just calls them Troopies, right? So Stormtroopers are called Troopies. I have an amazing amount of power. I want to use it for good, Steve. I think the saddest moment... First of all, Return of the Jedi is by far the saddest Star Wars movie, okay? Forget Yoda. You have Maliki, the Rancor keeper, who's super sad.
Absolutely.
You have, of course, the dead Ewok.
Yes.
But I think that the Gamorrean Guard who gets eaten by the Rancor is one of the great tragic heroes of the whole saga.
It's just blowing my mind that you're saying this, because that literally is my... I jot down movie thoughts sometimes, too, just in case there's a reason to say, but that is exactly what I wrote down, was that I felt so bad for that one guy that falls down the...
Because they're not inherently bad. They're just these guards.
Even their job.
So what I think, Steve, is we need... name that Gamorrean Guard.
Oh, okay.
So, Steve, with all respect, I say we officially name him Crunchee. So Crunchee the Pig Guard, I want to see figures. I want to see custom carded figures. I want to see card back art, okay? We have to start the movement for Crunchee, okay? Because poor guy got eaten, couldn't get out. I know that whenever I would eat almost anything when I was a kid, I'd pretend I was the Rancor eating Crunchee, and it made me feel bad and weird. It's like one of the great, most evocative moments of the whole saga, and we don't really talk about it.
No, it's true.
I think it's because he doesn't have a name.
Yeah. And that sound effect of him being gobbled up, it's one of those things that you remember images from films, but that sound is something I remember so well. So yeah, no, I'm on board for calling them Crunchee. I'm all for it.
All right, so let's get some Crunchee merch out there. You guys do your best with the Facebook and everything, and let's really celebrate the short life of Crunchee the Pig Guard. Of course, that's spelled Crunchee. Boy, it's kind of like the blog pod where I start off with all this energy. But the main reason I have so much energy is, I've got to, finish this opening bit and then put the kids to bed and then do the rest. So
yes,
I guess I can relax. The thing is, Steve, I listened to it again. It's actually good when we're super upbeat like this.
It's just, this time you don't sound super sped up like the Micro Machines guy. I was really freaked out. I thought that was actually how fast you were talking when we recorded the blog. It was scary, but no, this is good.
Okay. Now, another thing that we do on this show, Steve, of course, is the Skye-Ku.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, my Skye-Ku has to be about Crunchee.
Yeah, I figured this one was going to be particularly inspired.
So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Crunchee Pig Guard oink. Rancor eats his ham sandwich. Poor Gamorrean.
Nice use of the ham sandwich. That's
I don't think the Rancor speaks eloquently. That's why I had to go with sandwich. I have to imagine, to the Rancor's credit, it's probably pretty tasty. I mean, if you're used to eating Jawas and little bubbos or whatever those things are, that weird little eyeball, you must be so psyched when a giant pig.
They're not going to be tasting nearly as good as a pig. That's true.
No. Well, another thing that we've been doing, Steve, has been kind of shoehorning in news kind of quickly. So you want to talk a little bit of news?
Sure.
Watch out!
It's Kenner's News. It's Kenner's News. It's Kenner's News.
All right, Steve. Did you know there was news?
Actually, I didn't.
Well,
not particularly. I figured there's got to be some, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always news in the vintage community.
That's true.
There's a new case of Vintagesploitation. Have you seen this, Steve? So in the new mobile game for Star Wars, they include the MTV-7, the Multi-Terrain Vehicle 7, which I have very fond memories of because Matthias gave one to my kid, to Django. And Zola, Zola's little baby, all the way back in 2007, I think, or 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one example of Vintagesploitation.
Okay.
But another comes from Funko.
Oh.
So Funko came out with new pops, and we're going to be talking to some guys who collect modern stuff later today with the Imperial Commissary. But they have a 3-pack, and it's Greedo, Hammerhead, and Walrus Man. And they're done in the Kenner colors as opposed to screen-accurate colors. And it's a Walmart exclusive. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Huh.
And finally, Steve, we started the Blog Pod, and part of that was in response kind of protecting our turf from the Vintage Rebellion, right?
Yeah.
But I actually think that it's really cool that we have multiple podcasts covering the same kind of stuff, because there's been a scandal out of England. I would say surprise, surprise, but that would sound bitter. There's a scandal out of England with baggies, and it's a complicated story, and I think you should just listen to the Vintage Rebellion. That's what I say. If you're interested in that, friend them on Facebook, listen to their thing. They go into lots of detail. They actually talked.
A lot of detail.
They actually interviewed the guy who was being accused of it. They interviewed him for 45 minutes, an hour and a half. It was really interesting. I would say they were maybe a little cuddly with him. They didn't quite hold his feet to the fire enough, in EV99 style, or 88, whichever one is the torturing one. But still, they did a really great thing of having this guy talk. Because when do you ever get scammers on the phone?
Yeah, that's definitely something you don't see.
Yeah.
So no, that's I totally agree. If you really have the need to learn about it, that's the place to go.
But I would say, we've talked about how baggies are easy to scam. The one thing I would say is over the last year, I have seen more Meccano bags with the échantillon gratuit, which means like free freebie essentially. This red sticker. Those were really rare, and last year I've seen like 50 of them, and that means that most of them are fake. So if you bought one of those in the last year, worry, because they're probably fake. And you can say, oh, Skye, you're paranoid. And you know what? I am paranoid. I'm one of the most paranoid people in this hobby. I don't say 1/10 of the amount of things that I think are fake or fakakta in this hobby. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Don't buy those, because whatever's going on, I don't like it. And I'm not blaming anybody, but I don't like it. Do I like it, Steve?
Yeah. Nope, you don't like it one bit.
I don't like it. But I do like our next guests, and I do like putting my kids to bed. So should we get to that? Do you have anything to say, Steve? I've been kind of motor mouthing here.
No, this is good. I think we're ready to do the crossover, right?
Okay, yeah. So we're going to do, I think it's our first proper crossover episode, because we're going to be on their podcast, and they're going to be on our podcast.
Simultaneously.
I have no idea how we're going to do this, Steve.
Me neither. It's going to be Jetsons, Flintstones.
Yes. All right. So let's call up the guys from the Imperial Commissary.
Yakety yak, yakety yak. Yakety yak, yakety yak.
Yak, yak, yak to my face.
Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
My voice is this, and my name is Mike.
Okay.
I'm Mike Havens.
So, Mike, are you sort of the one who you usually talk the most, right?
In general, yeah, probably.
Okay. I'm just, because that's usually
Justin's
me.
The
I
one
talk
that runs
the
the
most.
podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, Justin's the one that runs everything. I just sit here and complain about modern. That's pretty much my focus.
Then I'm Trent. I'm the plucky comic relief.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, we need one of those, Steve.
I know.
Yeah, you got to get a guy.
I'm here with Mike, Justin, and Trent. And they sort of run the Imperial Commissary podcast, but I actually only think of you guys as the Imperial Commissary podcast. What if people were looking up for you on iTunes, what would they call you?
The Collector's Galaxy is the actual name of the podcast. The Imperial Commissary is the Facebook group that we all admin.
Okay, so that's I guess that explains why sometimes I can't find it when I'm looking for it.
Yeah. We're excessively involved. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
The crazy thing being our website is actually www.imperialcommissary.com.
Right.
But it links to both aspects. It links to the Facebook group. It links to the podcast. But if you look us up on Facebook, either one will find one version of it.
Right. And I think sort of at least the reason why I know Steve and I wanted to do this is we've been having this kind of need to look at people where we go, who the hell are these people? And then meet them. And you guys are number one with a bullet of who the hell are these people? Because you guys have a huge following, you have a good I've listened to your podcast, I like it, and I'm like, who are they? Why do people know them? It seems that when people come on to Facebook and start collecting, vintage toys, they go to you guys. And so I realized I could either be like a jerk about it and be like, well, I've been doing this longer, so like screw them. Or I could be like, hey, what's going on over this side?
Hey, what's going on this side?
So one thing I was really thinking is a fun way to start this is a story about Trent. So Trent, Trent,
sorry, Trent, just get used to this.
you told me that you're the plucky comic relief, so that's good. But you did a Facebook Live Cincinnati room sale post, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, and I
Going
remember
to the plucky comic relief.
Yes, and I remember watching it and thinking, all right, this is great. These guys are doing a really good thing here. This is exactly how the room sales look. I couldn't go, but I felt like I was there. These guys get it. This is great. And there was this moment, okay, where I wrote it down. It's at 2:09 in the video, and you go, hey, we got our good buddy. And then you move the camera around, and you have about 5 people who are on our show like almost every month. And then you go, not there. And then you turn it over and go, there's Adam Galloway! And you talk to Adam Galloway for like 5 minutes. I don't know, no offense, I don't know who Adam Galloway is. That was a great interview with him, and it was great. But like, you actually went right past Ron Salvatore, Chris Georgoulias, Mike Mensinger, three of like the biggest editors of the Star Wars Collectors Archive. And I thought like, oh man, wouldn't it be awesome if I went and said, hey, there's Adam Galloway, and you guys went, hey, what's up, Ron? So that's my dream, is to make that video sort of more seamless. I don't know if that's too syrupy, but that was...
we would love to do it, man. I'll tell you, the reason why we wanted to get on the show with you is what we wanted to do is, it's tough. It's tough because all of us started collecting under 6 years ago. Recollecting. I mean, we all collected when we were young, and then, played football, did the high school thing and the cool kid thing and whatever that was. And then we got back into it. So it's very tough when we're at these room sales and we're at these, because we had an IC meetup before that room sale. We had it down at the same hotel that was in the convention area of it. And we had about 75 people there that were for the IC meetup. And then about another 40 came for the room sales afterwards. Mm-hmm. And when we went out there with those room sales, yes, those guys were there. But I'll tell you the truth, brother. We were walking around, and the things they had are so amazing, and these guys are so upper echelon of collecting. It's very tough to just start up a cold conversation with them. That's why when you guys were I saw you commenting on the IC, and I was like, hey, we should get together and just talk about it and figure out what we are, because it's tough to break into the vintage Star Wars collecting thing when you start late, because we didn't start in the dark times, man. I mean, we're paying $45, $50 for a Luke, and we got a good deal.
Right.
It's murder, man. But we love it just the same, and we want to grow the hobby, because if we grow the hobby, then it'll give us something to do when we're old. You know what I mean? And we know you guys are young guys, too. You just happen to be in with the cool kids crowd.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is kind of a message for everybody out there. I still feel like I'm one of the new collectors, because I only started in 2004, and that may sound ridiculous, but like everybody back then had started in 1999, and they were on the Rasksvav or whatever, all in the listserv stuff. So, like, I may pull you never were on Rebel Scum, so you don't know what collecting is. But that's because I've been dealing with people saying, you were never on the listservs. And then people before that were like, I was buying them at Child World. And so...
Yeah, it kind of like, it's weird how it skips generations like that. And it's so strange. But, I mean, to me, just to see so many people into it now is awesome. Like, to discover that there are these totally different communities that I didn't even really know about it's crazy, but it's great.
Facebook has allowed that. Facebook has allowed regular people that have a passion for something to start something without much background tech work. And that's why it allows us to have so many pages. And there's great pages. There's great pages run by great guys. There's a lot of those guys that you named. I think every single one is on the IC. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that, as with any collector, I mean, from somebody who has 2 beaters to Steve Sansweet, there's always somebody who has more. And there's always somebody who has more information and more stuff, and it makes you a little nervous.
And I'll tell you, the room sales, the whole Cincinnati trip was great, because while maybe that video I didn't portray it as knowing them, was because we didn't know them at the time.
But we got to meet them.
Yeah, and so a lot of these people, it's because of that we know them now. And so that, once again, the Star Wars
next video.
Yeah. Well, it was just the way... It was the way you said, we got our good buddy, not there. It was the way you said it was so funny. But, I mean, I felt the same way at Celebration 3 and 4. I felt like I couldn't talk to any of those guys.
No, I was in the same boat, too. So it's just weird how that can change over time, or even, like, really quickly now, especially with everyone getting together in person. Like, at Celebration, it's so huge now that, I mean, you just don't have enough time to even say hello to everyone that you get to know. It's crazy.
It was at this point that Stephen described the archive party. I need not explain it to you, space freaks. Let's continue the rest of the interview, where they talk about their party.
And if you guys can make it to our IC meetup on the next day there, Friday night, or Friday during the day, right? All day. We rented the Clarion, awesome. Or it's the Dolphin Room. I think it's Clarion Inn or something, but it's right next to the convention center.
Yeah, Dan Marino's
right next door. Yeah, Dan Marino's going to be there.
Isotoner.
Isotoner. He's doing Isotoner Club commercials. But Yeah, man. So it'll be right there. And what we do is we started these meetups because it's tough with the technological world that we live in today to actually meet true people and really get into it. And when we do these meetups, I mean, we have 50, 60 people that are all in that room because they love Star Wars, and there is never a dull moment. It's just people talking about awesome stuff, people pulling DT Vaders out of their pocket like it's nothing. I mean, crazy random stuff happens, and it's really fun. So we'd love for you guys to be there too. Yeah. And we're trying to wrangle Boba Fett in to come because he's pretty cool. Yeah, we've talked to him a couple times, and he said he would let us buy him a beer, but we're going to try to get him to have that beer at the meetup.
When you think about what the hobby is and how it grows, it's like there's a lot of like old timers who don't do anything and don't contribute anything and just have a bunch of toys. And I mean, I may know them and I may like them, but it's not like I'm oozing for respect because they bought a bunch of prototypes in 1998. But like you guys are like putting out a ton of work, a ton of content. You're like building the hobby in a way that a lot of people aren't, and it was kind of a similar thing, a year ago when I just decided maybe I'll see what Facebook is like. I had to learn all these names, but what I've learned is they're just doing exactly what I was trying to do in 2007 or whatever it is, and it's actually less about the toys, it's more about the community now, which is what we've always wanted. So that's a success.
Well, to have that recognized by people like you is phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
I mean.
And the thing is,
you think nobody notices.
Oh, trust me, if you have a podcast, you think nobody notices, but that's just what it is to have a podcast. No one cares about your stupid podcast. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Thing is, we have to keep growing this, otherwise in 30 years when we're old and,
Sure enough, when I bust a hip.
Yeah, if we want this to keep going on, and even though Star Wars is such a big property and is so successful with the last two movies and the kind of resurgence, we have to make sure there's some kind of a security that where this stuff is still going to be around and be cared about. So, whether it's, producing content or just, by word of mouth talking about it among friends, it's just a great thing to do. We appreciate, heck, the reason why we do a podcast is because of people like you, that got it started. So.
Well, yeah, and it's great because when Steve and I started the podcast, actually 7 years ago, it was sort of at the point where we weren't really sure where this hobby was going. The Clone Wars was going, and I knew it was great. Steve is the vintage snob, so he wouldn't watch it.
I've come around since then, though.
He's come around.
Yeah, I tried to watch it. It was
no more movies, and like the Rebel Scum forums were the only game in town, and like people kept on leaving, and it just felt moribund, to use an overly complex word. And now it's the opposite. There's too much life. There's too many people collecting. There's too many new guys who care and are doing research.
And celebrations are selling out, which that last one when we were first starting, like there was a whole half of the convention center that wasn't even being used. Like it was so much duller back then, so it's crazy.
Yeah, the thing about it, I did. It's hard for me to explain like this whole community aspect of how crazy this whole thing is because, Star Wars wasn't big where I grew up. Like it wasn't a cool thing to be into Star Wars. Like you either played football and drank beer, or you weren't cool. Like that's just.
This is Tennessee, is that right? Nashville.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Kentucky, but yeah, same kind of thing.
Wait, which part of Kentucky?
Murray, bottom southwestern
What?
tip. Yeah.
No way.
You know where that is?
Steve has been to Murray about 10 times.
Really?
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know Brock Walker by any chance?
I know that name, yeah.
Okay. He's literally like one of my best friends in or out of Star Wars collecting. I've known him for like 15 years. And he lives in Murray, Kentucky. That is so crazy.
Oh, that's wild.
Eagle River.
Well, Trent too. Yeah, Eagle River.
Trent's from Paducah. So.
Okay. I've been to both of those places. Wow, that is a trip.
I'm from Connecticut.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, I didn't have a whole lot of ways to participate in this when I was growing up as a kid, and so I kind of lost touch with it. And then my wife and I, we moved around a lot from my job, and so really the Facebook groups and stuff were the only contact I had with collectors anywhere. And I started the podcast because I'd heard things like the Chive Cast and Galaxy of Toys and things like that. And I was like, you know what? That seems like a good way for me to like communicate with everybody because we live in this like media saturated world now, and I thought this would be a great way for me to A, get my voice out there, but B, also meet cool people. And I mean, I started it by myself here in Nashville, and that's how I met Mike and Trent. Basically, was me posting in the groups with after I started the show and stuff like that. And so you're right when you point to community, like that's the whole reason like I started the show was because I wanted to be a part of the community. And to be honest, I never expected it to grow into a thing, but now it's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
when we miss it, people complain.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we don't post an episode, they light pitchforks and torches and come after us. It's crazy.
So are you guys all in the same room right now?
Yeah, we're all in the same. We're in Justin's collecting room. We're surrounded by vintage and some modern that's pushing up on me for some reason.
I set Mike next to the modern because he's the vintage snob.
I think they do it for me on purpose.
Yeah.
Like on me.
That's pretty cool.
We get together every Tuesday, and it's kind of our weekly guys meeting, and we hang out.
It's our therapy session.
Yeah, we eat pizza and talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, that's awesome because Steve and I were able to record in the same place for about 6 months or something.
Yeah, it might have even been less than that.
And then I moved. But we never had pizza. There was one time we recorded in Steve's stinky apartment, and he had to keep the fan off because it was too loud. Oh, that was terrible, Steve. Remember that episode?
That was the last one I think we recorded. Yeah. That was right when you were moving. No, that was awful.
We had one that we did with Trent underneath a blanket in the back of a car going to somewhere.
Yeah. Trent was driving.
There was too much
Kentucky.
noise, so he was hiding under a comforter. It was like 90 degrees out.
Yeah, I had to go home I do music on the side. I had to go home and do a gig or something, and in order for us to get the recording out in time, I had to record it on Skype through my phone underneath the blanket in my car.
It was quality.
Wow.
And it sounded awful still. With the things you do for Star Wars.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
At this point of the show, we all talked about Skye and Steve's collection. But you space freaks have heard enough about that. On with the show. Oh, no.
And I had to throw in, man, that the B-Wing is by far the most awesome vehicle ever created in the history of any vehicle toy line ever. I have five
it's got
of
the
them,
mystique
man.
because you never see it.
Oh, no.
Well, man,
Steve's going to leave me.
Why don't you ever see it? Why don't they use it enough? What is that about?
I don't know.
Because it's lame.
That's a good question.
I think you should be patient. I won't spoil anything. But
you have secrets?
You should be patient.
You have B-Wing secrets?
I do, actually.
Really?
I read a spoiler not more than a week ago about it.
Don't spoil it.
I won't. But
I will be excited.
Be patient. Well, Trent is a Imperial Dignitary focus collector. Look, okay, so you talked about you could pick the character that's kind of less known. That was my less known. I'm also a Wicket collector, so let's go with that. We'll be fair.
Nice.
There's a whole lot of Wicket stuff you can do. Ewok stuff is just all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm a moron. I picked Boba Fett.
Yes, you are a moron.
It's just like hemorrhaging money, man. It's out of control.
Hey, dude, do you want me to tell you an old-timey story that'll make you cry if you're a Wicket collector?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so when I started collecting in 2004, there was a website called Cloud City Collectibles, which is run by Tom Derby, who now runs Collectible Insurance Agency, or whatever that is. Okay, that's the CIA. Whatever it is that he does.
It's Collectible Insurance Brokerage.
Yes, okay, thank you.
That's it.
And so he was brokering all of the photo art that was being sold by a guy named Tom Nyheisel. And at the time, there were so much photo art. We're talking original photo art, the actual pieces that were sent to Kenner by Lucasfilm that were airbrushed and then used as the template for all card backs of that figure from then on. So that's how I ended up with the Chewbacca second photo art, the one on Endor. It was just sitting there for $2,000. And I'm like, I'll get a payment plan. And I put it on a payment plan, and I got it. Also available was the original Wicket photo art for $2,000, just sitting there. It sat there for like 2 years. Just nobody thought to buy it. Everyone thought it was too expensive, like the ultimate pre-production item, and it didn't go. So there's a little fun story for you. And
I was the idiot who paid the same for the B-Wing pilot.
That's actually gone down in value.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it.
That is definitely a story that can make me cry. For instance, though, on the other day, I think it was on the IC, a guy posted up one of the salesman's sample Wicket pieces from back in the day that came on a squid head card, but it was actually the pre-production Wicket that came with the darker brown hood and the darker staff and no COO. And I mean, of course, it was like $10,000 or something, and just that makes me cry. It's like at some point that was like $100 or something.
Absolutely.
And just the thought that I wasn't savvy enough at a young age to go after this stuff. Yeah. Of course, I wouldn't have had a clue how to. But.
I actually have a carded B-wing pilot from when I was young.
Oh, yeah?
It was one of the only two card. Yep, it was one of the only two. Actually, you know how everybody always asks, "Oh, if your house burns down, what would you take?" And I always say that because I bought it when I was about 10 years old from an actual collectibles antique store. I think it cost me like $15. Yeah. But I kept it and kept it and kept it, and then I actually, when I restarted collecting about 6 years ago, I sent it into AFA, and it pulled an AFA 40. And I keep it on my shelf. I love it, man, and my collection has grown so much since then that people see it that know Star Wars and they go, "What is that doing there?" Because it's like in like a place of honor, and it's like it shouldn't be there, but I love it, man, and it's those things you can't get back because when I was young, I was like, "I'm not opening that. That's a collectible."
You have so much more restraint than I did.
Yeah, man, I did it with a hand hawk too. Those are the two I have. But that B-wing pilot I love because of the coin. I never saw the ones with the coins when I was collecting because it wasn't like now where it's like you can Google every card back there's ever been. Right. It was like you got to guess or your friend tells you what there is. You know what I mean? But I do have that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that hard to not open up a B-wing pilot. I mean, it's
just... Are you doubting the playability of the B-wing pilot?
I guess so. You know what, Steve? I'm outnumbered. There's more B-wing pilot fans than detractors here. This is
the Have you ever seen a B-wing, man? You put him in a B-wing. He flies the B-wing.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Awesome.
I'm wrong.
The B-wing has rockets, it has bombs, and it has lasers, and it has shields. It's by far the best Rebel fighter.
And it also actually makes an appearance in Rebels last season.
It did. The red one, which is like, why are you going to paint a red? It's going in space. That's a good call.
All you're going to do is get the cops looking at you more.
Yeah, sure. Higher insurance.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. But no, the B-wing's awesome. I mean, Mike, you got a cool B-wing piece. You got that Ledy box B-wing.
Oh, yeah, I got a Ledy box B-wing. I actually have the one from your website there, man, SWCA.
Nice.
Yeah, that picture of the Ledy one. That's mine now. So, back off.
Oh, and returning to fun old-time stories about photo art, I remember also on Rebel Scum in 2006, someone was selling the second Boba Fett photo art, but they were selling that for $10,000, which at the time was ridiculous. But
and now it's like a nickel.
Yeah, now that's like a nickel. But that is something I want to say, too, to your listeners who feel like, oh, my God, prices are so high. It was so much better before. That's exactly how I felt in 2005 and 2006. And all the old guys were telling me, you're crazy for spending $600 on a one-of-a-kind proof card, Skye. You're crazy. There's no point in doing it. Like, you're just wasting your money. So I'm not saying it's going to keep going up, but I am going to say that, like, this feeling of, like, oh, I missed the times where it was easy. Yeah. At some point, there's going to be some new website that you guys have never heard of that has, like, 10,000 followers, and they're going to call you guys old guys, and they're going to be like, oh, man, I wish I started collecting back in 2015. That's when things were easy.
Well, the Power of the Force run, I just finished all the Min-On cards that were released production with coins. And that was one.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw that on the Imperial Commissary.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Didn't you do a little Facebook Live video of that?
Yeah, I try to share as much as I can. And the reason why, man, is because, I don't know, as we were saying before, any level you're at in this thing of the collecting of vintage, there's always going to be somebody that has something you're never going to be able to touch.
There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish.
That's right.
And it would be nice if the bigger fish said, hey, you know what, here's my
scraps.
Yeah. Or like, here's my wax mold Boba Fett. Look at it. Yeah. Like, I mean, we were up at the thing and a guy brought the best rocket firing Boba Fett I've ever seen. It was so clean, man, straight out of a baggie, blah, 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 perfect, never been fired, this, that, and the other thing. And he let me hold it. Do you know how cool that was for me? Like, I mean, that made my year. You know what I mean? And it was just because some guy that happens to be awesome, that has everything, was like, you know what? I'm going to bless some of the new people. And I think that's cool, man. I as you were saying before, those massive collectors with the black hole collections that don't even share them anymore. It's tough, you know. I personally think all this stuff should be in a museum.
As far as like showing stuff off, I mean, this is for people who've been listening to our show over the past year and a half. They've seen a sort of progression, not so much with Steve, but definitely with me, where I've started off basically hating everybody on Facebook and saying bah humbug, until now I'm doing Facebook live videos, I'm doing hashtags, I'm doing all these things I said I'd never do, because it turns out that it's really fun and there's no harm, and you know, and I'll watch people's videos of their collection. I don't care if they have stuff I've seen before, or I don't care if they have stuff I'll watch like G.I. Joe collecting videos, and I don't care at all about G.I. Joe. You know, it's it really should be out there. Well, so what do you do as an Imperial Dignitary collector? We might have to have you back on, because you know, we do one figure a month, and the going's been pretty good. But eventually, we're going to get, you know, right now we're in the Gamorrean Guard, and we are going to ask you for help for a cause, a very important cause soon. But we haven't got. So what do you do as an Imperial Dignitary collector?
You start looking for the ones with the most awkward nose rubs.
Ooh, okay.
Seriously, that's where I'm at. I've got plenty of them that are beautiful and mint. I've got a couple that have the different color painted hands, or the purple hand instead of the black hand. You start looking for things that no one cares about. So like, how much does this one look like Goofy? How much does this one look like he ate a big plate of nachos and didn't clean his face? You know, stuff like that. I mean, there's only so many card variations you can get. Like the other day, I bought one that had the Boba Fett coin offer, because I had never seen that, and I hope it's a true thing and someone didn't just slap it on there.
Ooh, nice. That must have been like the best day of your year. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, actually, it was a really good day.
Oh, that's great.
We should give some background here on how this whole focus got started.
Okay.
Because it started here on the show, where we were talking about having space to put things, and we were talking about buying, I believe we were talking about buying you a display cabinet at some point.
Because of my stormtroopers.
Right, because of Mike's
Stormtrooper
stormtroopers.
army,
And
yeah.
so we basically dared Trent to start this focus and said that we would buy the display cabinet. But if we bought it, he had to buy enough to fill up whatever we gave him. Yeah. And we never thought he would actually do it, and now here we are. And how many do you have?
I'll have loose 50 plus, carded at least 6 or 7.
Oh, I think we're going to owe you a display cabinet.
Yeah, we owe him a curio cabinet here.
Wait till I have a house, and make sure you find them like the purple velvet.
Oh, dude, it's going to look like it came straight out of Prince's bedroom. Like, for real.
But so I mean, it's Power of the Force card. It's Tri-Logo card, it's Tri-Logo Clipper card, and then you get into, you know, weird card variations, or like the different black stickers on the top, or like I said, like the Boba Fett coin offer. And then you get into like custom stuff, and there's not a whole lot of that even. Yeah, I mean, and then there's 2 different modern dignitary figures, so I bought those, and that was done.
Well, there's probably pre-production stuff for the modern dignitary stuff. That's probably not too expensive to get.
No, I just haven't seen it. I bought a what I think was a scam out of Japan.
Okay. It's probably real. I mean,
$15.
Yeah, that could be real. There's a lot of that modern stuff. It's just like, okay, well, those cost extra.
Yeah, but that's one of my focuses, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. I like fat X-wing pilots.
Okay.
Because as a child of heft, I once dreamed of flying an X-wing, and Jack Porkins and Snap Wexley give me hope that I still can.
Yeah, absolutely. They wrote a whole book about Snap Wexley. I mean, I hope you at least read that, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Okay, so
there's
all
a
right.
book on Snap Wexley? I did not know that.
So Star Wars Aftermath, like the main character is a young Snap Wexley. Now they don't mention his eating habits or his physiognomy, but Snap Wexley is like the hero of that book.
That's hilarious.
Well, that's one of the great things too, is even if your focus is kind of a joke, the more you get your focus out there, the more real it gets. So like now that you're going to be on our show, and probably most of the people who actually have all that pre-production stuff might be listening to this show, or they'll at least say they're listening to us when they talk to us, and then have no idea what we're talking about. But they might say, "Oh, who's that? That guy with the dignitary thing." looking to sell it, and then that's kind of how these things all kind of go. So be it. Okay, so we've been doing this ever since the beginning, and we ask 4 or 5 questions depending on which ones I remember. And the last one is the last one is the trickiest, and the first one is the easiest. So, and we'll ask you by alphabetical order. So we'll go Justin, Mike, and Trent.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, what is your favorite bad line of dialogue from a Star Wars movie? And just to remind you, mine is pilot land over there by that assembly area.
Bad line of dialogue. I don't know. I would probably say when Obi-Wan Kenobi says that only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise, because they're obviously not.
Okay. Inaccurate and bad. Okay, good.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
2 fighters against a Star Destroyer?
Well, you really laid on the Southern accent. That was...
man.
Straight from Connecticut.
Straight from Connecticut. I could do them all. You want me to do it in a Russian accent?
Sure.
Oh, gosh.
2 fighters against Star Destroyer.
Okay, and
now do it in Saw Gerrera. No.
2 fighters against Star Destroyer.
Oh, God. Wait, first of all, are you guys pro Borgullet or anti?
No, man.
No.
That was insanity.
No.
Oh,
I don't
we
even
are
think
so
Force
pro. Okay,
Awakens should have been in the movie.
we are now warring. Borgullet is the best thing in Star Wars. better than Princess Leia. Borgullet. Okay, Trent, what is your favorite bad line of dialogue from a Star Wars movie?
Favorite bad line is 9 numb.
Wow. Now, if you ever do go up and meet Brock, he will have some choice words with you, as he is the world premier 9 nub collector.
Oh.
Yes.
But
you've offended our only friend in Murray.
All right. Now, let's stick to vintage here. So, if you're, we do always ask the burning house. So, if there's a wildfire in you guys all live in Nashville, right? So if there was a great Music City, if the Ryman Auditorium caught fire and then it spread to your guys' houses, and all of your houses were burning at once, and you could only grab one item, what would it be, Justin?
Mine would have to be my double telescoping Luke Skywalker figure.
Okay, not one of your dignitaries. Okay.
Oh, no, that's Trent. That's a dignitary guy.
Your trademark is stupidity.
I'm primarily a Luke and Boba Fett guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was misreading it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm a Luke guy, and I would grab that Luke because, I don't know, it's just, the Farm Boy Luke is my favorite figure. That's probably the most notorious, Farm Boy Luke figure, at least for me. And it's the one that I fought the hardest to get in all of my collection, really. And because I got it before I ever joined the IC or eBay or anything else.
Oh,
so
awesome.
I just, that's the one I'd go for.
Awesome. I apologize, Trent. I should have known that the plucky comic relief would be the Imperial Dignitary guy. That is the move. That is a plucky move.
Yeah. If you want to think of me as a Boba Fett collector, have at it. I will own it.
All right. So Mike, but Mike, you are the Fett guy, right?
Yeah, Fett and Stormtroopers mostly. Yep.
Okay. So
if bootlegs a lot lately, I don't know what's wrong with me.
I think the bootleg market is down, so it's a good time to be in it, I think.
I wish.
Is it not, really?
I don't know, man. I just paid $800 for a yellow Nino, so...
Okay, maybe it's not down.
Maybe it's not.
I don't know. Maybe I just don't know the right guys. Maybe after this podcast, my prices will get better.
So, Mike, what would you save if your house was on fire?
That B-Wing pilot, man.
Oh, of course.
Card beater B-Wing pilot, yeah.
Yep.
It's coming.
Wow. Steve, is that not the worst answer we've ever gotten? Okay.
Wow.
Hey, man, it's up there.
No, you're hoping my inch will be worse.
No, okay. So Plucky Trent, what is your... can I just call you Plucky? I just like that as a nickname.
There you go. That's fine.
What would be your burning house item?
I'm going to have to go with a DT Luke also. I've got one that I don't have confirmation, but I'm pretty sure is an EP.
Oh, wow.
Or an engineering pilot, that is not EP. Same thing. I would either go with that or I'd go with my 12A Luke AFA 80, just because it's like the first really big...
You both would run out with Lukes?
Well, it's the first really big thing that I bought, that I remember like sweating and like having that nervous feeling buying.
Yeah. I'm getting at that. But still, it's like Luke.
I don't really have like the
I don't have the real.
He knows what I'm saying on the other end of the line there. He knows about the Luke.
Yeah, more emo Luke.
More emo Luke.
Yes, but no, I guess I have to go with that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have anything that has sentimental value enough to really make me do that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you're saying because one of my favorite items and most sentimental items is actually an AFA 75 12-back Chewbacca. And it's kind of funny. There's a sort of trajectory with collectors where they eventually fall out of love with AFA and then eventually they hate it. So that'll just come in time. Just every collector eventually either hates it or barely tolerates it. Yeah. But, like, I love this piece because I bought it off Cloud City Collectibles. It was my first piece of vintage. I would just stare at it. I would just look at it just all day. Like, I can't believe I own this. I can't believe it, you know? And, like, I love the connection to the nostalgia of collecting, not even the nostalgia of being a kid. Right. So, yeah, that's I will accept that as opposed to the Daffy Duck Imperial Dignitude. And then, do you guys have any vintage grails?
Yeah, the grail that I want most would probably be a double telescoping Obi-Wan or a double telescoping Darth Vader.
Cool.
That would be the one to know. I'm a really big lightsaber Force user guy. Like that's my thing, and that Mike has made me realize that's why I wasn't so keen on Rogue One.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so, that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the basic. Yeah, there's. I mean. If the only good things about Rogue One are the Imperial Dignitary, of course, and Bor Gullet. So I think we can all agree.
Are y'all in agreement that the Dignitary was in it also?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That was totally that guy.
Yeah.
Sweet. I know what Mike's going to say to the Grail question.
Okay.
Well, go ahead. What do you think?
Rocket firing Boba Fett.
That kind of is, but I kind of want a Lily Ledy Boba Fett mint on card more.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Because I think it's way more rare.
Absolutely it is. And it's cooler.
Yeah.
And I think it's cooler.
And last month we had one of the Lemcool brothers say that they wanted a Rocket Fett too. So that would have been 2 months in a row. So that would have been.
Oh yeah, no, they can have it.
Yeah.
As long as they stay off my Kool-Aid with my Lily Ledy Boba, then I'm right there, man.
Yeah. Boy, I wonder what that would go for now if that came up. A Lily Ledy Boba Fett.
They're expensive, man, and I know where there's 4 of them on the planet, and I keep begging. But they keep saying no. But you know what? One of them's going to have a kid, and then it's my time to shine, baby.
And then how about you, Plucky?
It would. I'm going to have to change my name on the IC to Plucky. It would be a pre-production or Sculpt or something of Wicked or Dignitary, one of the two. I
go wax or
probably Wicked, just because my collection's more Wicked based, I think now.
Yeah.
So yeah, go wax Sculpt or something along that line, just because that's that upper echelon that just, it's a specific crowd that really, really wants it, and I think that would take my collection to bigger heights.
Yeah. Awesome. And now the next question is the one that takes the most time, and is very philosophical. But if you were a piece of vintage Star Wars memorabilia, okay? Not what would you like to be, not what do you aspire to be, but if you were a piece, it doesn't have to be a toy, it can be ephemera, memorabilia, you can be underoos, I don't care. But if you were a piece of Star Wars memorabilia, vintage memorabilia, what would you be?
I think that I would be. This is Justin, by the way.
Yes.
I think that I would be the Millennium Falcon.
Okay,
vintage
why?
Kenner Millennium Falcon. Because everybody on the outside thinks it's a piece of junk, but when it's his time to shine, that thing always comes through and knocks it out of the park. That's kind of how I view myself. So there you go.
Okay, how about you, Mike? And you can take a second if you need to answer, because it takes people a while.
No, man, I think I know. Actually, it wouldn't be a figure. It wouldn't be an item. I would be the insert. The insert that holds everything together inside a box. A lot of times people don't see it. A lot of times it's a lot of work, but it always makes sure that everything gets there in one piece. And it's underrated. It's not noticed a lot, and it's very crucial. You know what I mean? Without that, every single toy would be broken when it got there.
Wow, that's also very philosophical. Now,
deep.
You could upgrade your Steve Brownie points and say you'd be an insert in a B-wing box. I'm just saying.
Yeah, man, no, definitely, dude. Steve, I'll send you some pictures, man. I'm like a real B-wing person too, man. So Yeah, you got
It's good to know there.
You had me at hello. You had me at spinning over canopy bubble thing.
Can I just say that you guys really should record a little mini podcast together? We'll put it on both of our feeds. You guys could just talk about the B-Wing pilot together and stare into each other's eyes.
I'm down.
You could call it B-Wing Bombers.
Yes.
Write a song about B-Wing Bombers.
There you go.
There we go.
I don't understand why you guys don't see it's the best.
Trent's looking around the room. I think he's deep in thought here.
Of course he is. He may be plucky, but he's also very deep. You know, this is.
Yeah, well,
Deep and plucky.
because I'm so deep, I'm going to say I would be one of those vintage inflatable bop bags.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
And I keep taking hits, but I keep bouncing back.
Yes.
I like it.
I thought it's because you're full of hot air and you like getting your butt kicked.
Because I'm a
full of hot
masochist.
air, I give it that. and hopefully Ron Salvatore likes that. I know he loves.
Of course, he's a masochist. He collects dignitaries.
Wow.
But I know that Ron likes the card or the box art on those bop bags, so hopefully he likes that comment.
Oh yes, one of my favorite Ron Salvatore stories is I was in his collection room, and he had a Chewbacca bop bag there was a QC sample, but the sticker had fallen off, and he's just like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Here." And he just gave it to me. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like,
when you're running as fast as your legs will carry you.
Yeah. I was like thinking, like, how much? Should I have from 200? I don't know. I mean, it's a QC, but the sticker's not there. Should I have from more? What's an insult? I don't know what it is. And so, yeah, no, that's definitely one of Ron's big things. And I think we can sort of head into the plug area.
All right.
When you guys said you wanted to do a crossover type Magnum PI Murder She Wrote type thing, I was psyched, man. I really was.
Wait, which one are we?
Because you could be whoever you want, man. I think they're both awesome.
Steve, who do you want to be? Are we Magnum PI or are we? Thing is, I kind of want to be Higgins. Can I just be Higgins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be Higgins.
I just want to be the mustache.
Go to the Imperial Commissary, and you guys tell our fans why they should go there.
Yeah, come to the Imperial Commissary because it's for collecting, it's for building the community, and it's you have questions, we have answers. If we don't have answers, we'll try to get them for you. And I don't know, it's a community thing, but it also doesn't require very much time. So on the other hand of things, as like the blogs of SWCA and stuff are so phenomenal, they do require you to put in time. And with the IC, sometimes you can just sit there in the background if you want and see some cool stuff and remember your childhood. Because there's nothing wrong with that. But the IC, it was just a thing for like, man, you know why I started it originally? Here's why I started it. I went on one of the big boards on Facebook. That was after I put my very one and only post on a major forum and got crushed because I was the new guy.
What forum was that?
Well, I don't want to be that guy because it's a very, very useful page with very, very useful information and a lot of wonderful people, and I just caught a couple of trolls. It happens.
Yes, okay.
But
we also practice diplomacy on this podcast.
Yeah, apparently so.
But no, the reason why I started the IC is I was on a different Facebook group, and I gave away a complete vintage figure for the fun of it. I did a contest. I took a very, very close picture of it, and I said, "Who am I?" And I said, "Whoever guesses it gets the figure for free." So I gave it away, and people flipped out, man. They gave me, "You're trying to scam people. You're trying to get people's addresses to do something. I don't even know what." So I said, "You know what? Forget all you." And I went and I opened up my own page, and I gave away that free vintage figure every single Sunday since that day. The last one of those is going to be this weekend because I'm almost out of loose to give away. But it was for that simple reason that it shouldn't be, this is what I have, this is what you don't have have enough information, you don't know this, so you're not good enough. It should be every single last person in this community trying their very, very best to help whomever, whether it is the smallest collector or the biggest collector, because you never know who's going to keep this alive for you in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. So all this insane stuff that the rest of the normals, I call them, look at us and they go, "Dude, what are you doing, man? You just spent $2,000 on a Boba Fett." And they don't even know what a Boba Fett is. And you have people in your community that can accept that with you, and it's just, I don't know, man. It allows you to not be the weird person out there in the cold because there's 10,000 of us weirdos hanging out in the same room.
Yep. Yeah. And I would also say about you guys versus other pages. I mean, so, like everybody, I want 1,000 different pages and all those different things. But I do like, because one of the things that I actually miss about Rebel Scum, I miss a lot of things about Rebel Scum, but there's sort of a benevolent dictator who would always make sure that nothing would be sort of untoward or mean, and like it was super heavily moderated. And I think is it you, Mike, who's basically the benevolent dictator?
Oh yeah, I'm that guy. There's definitely 5 hate groups out there dedicated to me.
But to me, that makes it better. Like, it really does make it better. No, but it does, because, like, if you just... Like, I remember there's a British forum that popped up, and then there was sort of, like, in reaction to Rebel Scum, and everyone could swear, and they could have signatures that were, like, 4 times the size of the page. And it was just like, you know what? A little bit of control is actually okay. And I think... I really like that, and some of the sort of misogynist political stuff, or like I don't see that there, and I think that's at least I like that.
Man.
And I really like what you're saying too about sort of not knowing who's going to be there in 10 years, because that's I think if you took the archive and you took the Imperial Commissary and you kind of like kept those as like different poles of like, because Imperial Commissary seems to be where a lot of new people come in, and then the archive is sort of where all the old people hang out. Like, if you kind of keep them together, then we'll all sort of be in this nice middle, meeting new people, being open, but at the same time doing the research and paying enough attention to the history and the depth of the hobby. And that's how I think together we can make this a better place, Steve. This is so wonderful.
I love it, man. I'm telling you, I'm
going.
getting the feels right now. I'm going to have to change my answer from insert to, like, the B-Wing.
But we are starting something on this podcast, and at least for our end, this is what I would like you to help us with. So we're talking about the Gamorrean Guard, and we're talking about what I think is the most overlooked character in the Star Wars saga, which is the Gamorrean Guard that gets eaten. And so we're trying to name him Crunchee. So if you would just help us, just, with your mighty power of the Imperial Commissary, just help us just name that Gamorrean Guard is Crunchee, Crunchee. And that's Crunchee. We need to pay homage and respect to Crunchee. And
you got it. I'll do something for Crunchee. Maybe I'll give you know what? I got a Gammy on a Return of the Jedi card, man. I'll give him away and make it a big thing.
All right. That'll be fun. We'll see how far we can get with this, because it's a fun
hey,
thing
man,
to do.
hashtag Ezra is Snoke.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, goodness.
Awesome. Well, Steve and I have the rest of our show to record, so we better we better get to that. But awesome talking to you guys, and
thanks for the opportunity, man. And I can't wait to see you guys at Celebration or Orlando. We'll shake some hands and drink some beers.
Yeah, we will.
I got some stickers for you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Don't talk back.
All right, Steve. Well, that was another successful interview with people we didn't know.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I kind of felt like, that classic scene in, like, prehistory class with the Neanderthals meeting the Homo sapiens. Like, we were the old Neanderthals, completely scared and not knowing what was going on. But no, it all worked out a lot better than that.
Maybe you're a Homo sapien. That went really well. I mean, I knew it would go well because I've listened to their show enough, and like they've got a really nice, easy demeanor. And so even if they're talking about toys that Black Series I don't care about, like they're fun to listen to, and So I think mission accomplished, Steve. I think we're gonna bring more people towards us and send more people towards them, and I really do believe that our hobby will be a better, happier place if we are less tribal. There's just too many nice people in this hobby, Steve. Too many people for us to know.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old, my grandmother sat me down and told me she would never get to know me because she was going to die.
Oh, jeez.
11 years later, it came true. So I've always kind of. So, Steve, save me. Talk about Star Wars toys.
Okay, we better get back to Star Wars and Gamorrean Guards.
Absolutely. So is this? Should I put a Nugget drop in just so we have it?
Not quite.
Okay.
This is my idea. So I had We have a nugget, or a set of nuggets, but before that, I thought we could talk about a couple of foreign figures that, kind of like we did with, what was it? I think it was for Forlom. We kind of went through some different card backs, or maybe it was Zuckus or both. Anyway, I thought that this is kind of something we hadn't touched on before. At least I didn't remember touching on it, but that is the two different titles or logos on the Ledy Jedi card backs.
Aha.
So do you remember ever going over this before?
No, and actually we talked about the Museum. I do have an entire write-up on the Museum about Regreso and Returno, but one's Mexican and one is Spanish. So Returno in Spain and Regreso in Mexico.
Right.
But I didn't know that they used both in one. Tell us about it, Steve.
Yeah, well, all right, so I didn't either, so this is the whole educational aspect here. But so the Gamorrean Guard is one of the first series of the Ledy Jedi figures, and in that initial series or initial wave, the title and the logo was El Returno del Jedi, or de Jedi. So I didn't know that, and it soon switched to Regreso for the next series. But I thought it was cool to see both figures on the archive. And in terms of the card back itself, just in general, there's some different things about it. So you can see his full left arm, which isn't the case on the Kenner card back. And
Wait,
the color
so you
scheme
can see his
different.
full left arm and you cannot see his full left arm in the Kenner card back.
Right.
Okay, I don't think I knew that. So,
yeah, I didn't either.
Okay.
And then the color scheme's a little bit different. He's a little more bright, I guess I'd say, in the Ledy card back. But
yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff with the Ledy card backs where they're just really kind of bright and intense.
Yeah,
I don't know what they did. It's
something with printing or who knows, but yeah.
Wow.
And I like his name, the Garda Gamorrean.
Garda Gamorrean.
See, that's what I was. That was your cue for that.
But Steve, you speak better Spanish than I.
No, I don't know. I could maybe read and write better Spanish, not speak it.
Steve, don't you listen to enough Spanish radio in LA? That's where I learned all my Spanish. That's why I end everything with .com. Edad de 4 años y adelante.com.
Yeah, you've got it way better than me. But anyway, I just thought there was.
If you ever want to know what language is about people, it's about confidence. Yeah. So does that mean that all Ledy have a Returno variant and a Regreso variant?
Not all, I don't think. I think it was just the first wave, as far as I know. But which, the Gamorrean Guard was one of those initial, I think it was 12 or 14. It went for first 12 and then 14 figures. And then when they went to the 14 back, at that point, somewhere soon after, it changed to Regreso. And then you added the more, the additional Jedi characters after that.
It's funny, they were talking about interviewing Luis. I feel like we have kind of ignored Ledy, more or less, on the podcast.
It's true, and that's kind of why I wanted to kind of highlight these a bit, because you're totally right. And it's still something I really don't know near enough about.
Well, hey, if you're one of the people who listens to our show and you want to talk about Ledy, let us know. Maybe we should give it some time and let the Imperial Commissary folks interview Luis, because that's probably who we'd want to talk to.
Yeah.
Steve, this time it's our fault. Actually, it's always our fault. Okay, so that's awesome. Right. So I didn't even know that Ledy was ever Regreso, and of course, in the rest of the Hispanophone world, it remained Regreso, and only in, it remained Returno in the rest of the Hispanophone world, but in Mexico, it changed to Regreso.
Yeah, right. So that's thing number one. And what's great about this figure is that you could nail all of our regular segments with some pretty good stuff. So what would you rather do? Would you rather do a Nugget, a Vocab, or an Unloved?
'Tis a Nugget from the archive. 'Tis a Nugget.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
From the archive.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
Oh, I love hearing that drop, Steve. Yeah, that was the base of the Blog Pod.
Yes.
Drop, which I still haven't explained the brilliance of it. I'll do that on the next Blog Pod, where I explain why my drop is so revolutionarily good and thoughtful. But Steve, tell us, what is the Gamorrean Guard nugget from the archive?
So it's kind of a dual nugget, but to start off...
A dual nugget from the Gamorrean Guard. Wipe twice, thank me later.
All right, so I'm going to do my best here.
Yes.
So I thought we should go micro collection. Let's get the full array of vintage awesomeness, right?
A micro nugget from the Gamorrean Guard.
Yes.
All right. So I don't know, Steve. I don't even know what you would be talking about. Now I know that our good friend Micro Rob listens to our podcast, and he often yells at his radio in anger, probably at almost everything I say. So I don't even know what a micro Gamorrean Guard would be. I didn't know anything exists for it. I am a complete babe in the woods. I am setting you up for this, Steve. Wow me right here.
All right, I guess I'll start, before the figure. Let's establish the fact that
I'm not being wowed,
Return
Steve.
of the Jedi. I know, I'm not. I don't have the theatrics. Just give me a chance.
Okay.
All right. So before we get to the figure, there were two Jabba's Palace Micro Collection playsets that were in development that never got released because the Micro Collection just fell off the map, right?
Yes.
So what was originally discovered in terms of a Gamorrean Guard, there was a wax sculpt and I think some 4-ups of a Gamorrean Guard figure that are been on the archive for a long time. So that's the first nugget is the full figure wax sculpt, which would have been the point of creation for the hard copies and ultimately all the figures if they'd been made. So this thing is pretty great in the sense that it's a Jedi character in micro collection form, right?
Yes.
So
and there's he's standing. He looks cool. He's got his axe. He's got his fluffy shorts on. What kind of fur do you think they have?
That's a good question. I don't know. Bantha?
Yeah, maybe bantha fur. And what happens if you take off his helmet? Does he have like a little hair? And he actually looks a lot like that character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Rocksteady or Bebop.
Oh my God, you're totally right. He looks like Bebop.
Bebop.
He just needs the shades.
Yeah. Ooh, yet another Photoshop job for our...
Oh, man. Yes.
Maybe we could... Because weren't there two Gamorrean Guards who fell in? One was Crunchee and got eaten, and the other got away? No, it was just Crunchee.
No.
He got eaten.
Just Crunchee was eaten.
We can imagine that his best friend was Bebop, and he later put on some shades and went away.
Yeah, and dyed his hair purple and wore a...
Although actually, I mean, the origin story in the most recent Out of the Shadows Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, it was just great. That movie was just so much fun. The second...
you know what? I really do need to see those because I grew up on the Ninja Turtles, and it's not that I didn't want to watch them. I knew they weren't great, but I needed to be in the right space.
No, they are absolutely great. Okay, I will go toe to toe with anybody. They are great. I don't care if you don't like them.
Those are going to be on your podcast with the two Toms.
Yes.
The movie podcast.
There's a discussion about me doing a podcast with Tommy Garvey and Tom Quinn where it's called Sky's Wrong with Two Tommies or something like that. And it's just talking about movie thoughts. But I am so right about the Ninja Turtles movies. Okay.
All right. I'm going to watch them, and I'll let you know. But yeah, okay, so that's the first part of this, is the complete wax sculpt for this one Gamorrean Guard, right? Okay,
right.
So...
Which is beautiful. Second, it's 4 times the size. It would be about the size of a tall glass. It's well sculpted. It's beautiful. Right.
Yes. So the second part is a wax sculpt for just a hand holding an axe. So it's a hand holding a Gamorrean Guard axe, which at first, and this is a write-up from Ron, initially it was a little confusing as to what this might have been. But he goes on to find out that with some kind of paperwork that there is an explanation for it. So what you see first is just a hand holding an axe, and it's a wax sculpt which is nice. That's what it is. But then when you get into the paperwork, what he found were these what are called new toy milestone schedules. So they're like calendars, basically, looking a schedule for when things are going to be done in the production. And he has one for each of the unproduced Jabba playsets. So he has one for the Jabba's throne room, and then he has one for the boiler room. And the thing that kind of clues us into what this second hand might be is that there are Gamorrean Guard figures listed in the lineups for both sets. So that would, you would think mean there would be two different Gamorrean Guard figures sculpted.
Because they always did different sculpts for...
Yeah, different poses for each set. So for this, it makes complete sense what he's getting at, is that for the boiler room, so that's the scene where he's leading 3PO in to see EV-99 and all that, and he kind of whacks that Muppet arm, as he's going by. And so let me see if I can find exactly where he says this, but it reminds him of, this might be a different pose where the arm's kind of flailing out. Which I thought was kind of funny, and it makes sense too. But this kind of gives explanation that they were kind of working on a second Gamorrean Guard micro figure. So I thought that was cool. We haven't really talked about much micro. We definitely haven't talked about Jedi micro at all, I don't think. So yeah, this is another Gamorrean Guard Nugget.
But Steve, we need to spend more time with the new toy milestone schedule. This paperwork I've never seen before.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how I know it's been on the archive for a long time, Steve? Because it has Ron's old carpet. And I've never seen Ron's carpet, but a lot of his old pictures have this like kind of funky 70s carpet. Looks kind of like a popcorn under a microscope. And so it must have been there for a long time. This is one of the most exciting pieces of paper I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So this... It's hard to describe, but essentially, I'll do my best, okay? So it says new toy milestone schedule, and it has in the top left corner toy name, Star Wars, Micro, Return of the Jedi, Jabba's Throne Room. So it indicates what it's going to be, and then it has different times where each thing is going to be completed, different dates. So this schedule was made on August 6th, 1982, okay? And so then... For example, if you go with the Gamorrean Guard that we see here, okay, it'll say the start date will be, looks like the start date will be August 9th, and then there's like a different phase will be September 29th, and then the next phase will be October 13th. I can't quite read it well enough to see exactly what it all says. But then it goes all the way down to where it'll be completed on March 14th. So you actually understand the full lifetime of when it'll be sculpted. There's actually 5 different phases of sculpting. So I think we need to. It's been almost 3 days since we've had Ron on the show. But hey, we're bringing in new people, okay? We had Plucky Trent on this show, so I don't want to hear any of you inner circle snipey people about us, okay? It's not our fault that like 5 people know everything and and we know nothing. So yeah, it's just great. I mean, it's like the schedule of how they made these figures, and who cares if they're unproduced or produced? It's just wonderful.
No, it just gives you an idea of the whole like development timeline, which is really, really cool. And it's Gamorrean Guard, so it fit in just right.
Except I do have a question, so don't answer me quickly because it'll be more fun for me to answer this myself.
Okay.
They have all the characters listed, okay? Jabba seated, got it. Luke, got it. BF. I could say what that means, but I know it means Bib Fortuna, okay? I'm not going to BF myself on that one. 2D2, I assume that's R2D2. 3PO, I assume that's C3PO. Leia, GG, Gamorrean Guard, Lando, Frozen Han Solo.
Yep.
And then RN. I'm going through my thinking, like
your memory palace,
like really nice. Rancor Nancy is that the name of the Rancor keeper?
It's the Rancor nanny, actually.
But what's RN?
It's just for Rancor. That's it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I personally like Rancor Nanny better.
Yes,
but,
I do like Rancor Nanny.
Which we'll have to bring that back whenever we get to that poor guy.
Yes, that episode is already called Rancor Nanny, so you can just name that. Yeah, this milestone sheet is just wonderful. Wow. Well, thank you very much, Steve, for bringing that nugget to light. Not only do we have one unproduced sculpt, but we have just the arm of another one.
Yep.
And speaking of sculpts, are we ever going to talk about Fire Talk? I don't know.
That's a good question. That's like a whole little story in itself.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say we're not going to. I'm going to say go to the Star Wars Collector's Archive, go to Special Features, and look up Rom's excellent recycled Star Wars toys. Or
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Or wait till the next celebration, because he does that talk almost every celebration, and it's a great talk, and he explains the relationship between the Gamorrean Guard and the Robin Hood Friar Tuck figure, because it's interesting, and I don't think I have the definitive answer, so I say do that.
That's a good call.
You know, it's funny, probably a lot of people are listening to the show thinking, this is one thing I definitely know they're going to talk about, and we're not going to talk about it. You know why? Star Wars Collector's Archive, that's why.
You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. The unloved and the unnatural.
All right, so Steve, you sent me these notes a couple days ago. Didn't read them. And then the archive went down. So you sent me pictures of all these things, but I haven't been able to read the articles. So the unloved item this month, Steve, is a ton of unloved items.
Yeah.
You have sent me a ton. And this is what I love. This is one of my favorite things about Return of the Jedi. There's all these figures they went all in on. And we just get to appreciate all these figures they went all in on. So let's go through them, Steve.
All right, yeah. So the way I kind of thought about this is like the day in the life of a Gamorrean Guard focus collector. Like they could actually use all these things in a day if they wanted to.
Okay. Wait. Steve, this is beautiful. You didn't tell me you had a narrative, okay? So first I'm going to put in that song.
That was in the original show notes, man.
Yeah,
that you didn't read.
Yeah, Steve, come on, man. I'm a busy guy. Okay,
right.
so I'll start off with
frame.
the morning. Do, 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 do. You wake up in the morning. You go, I'm a Gamorrean Guard collector. How do you start your day, Steve?
You have to start it with some Gamorrean Guard bar soap from Omni Cosmetics, right? I mean, that's what else? How else would you start your day?
Gamorrean Guard bar soap. That is like the least pronounceable thing in the history of Boston. Gamorrean Guard bar soap. Okay. So it's made by Omni. It looks like the Gamorrean Guard.
Yeah, it's got this great like sculpt to it, and it's in Gamorrean Guard green, of course. But the thing about this is like, when do you think a Gamorrean Guard ever actually bathes? Like they got to be the stinkiest thing in Jabba's palace, right?
Yeah, that's what makes them. That's what made Crunchee so tasty. He's like marinating in his own sauces. Who wants to wash yourself with a nasty pig monster?
Yeah, I mean that's my question. But the box is great. It's this bright orange color. Like this thing is incredible. Like I don't know. As we'll get through this, we will realize that this character, like you said, is one of those Jedi characters that is just on everything. They went all in on Gamorrean Guard.
Now, listen, I haven't spent that much time thinking about soap. Okay. I really haven't. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about soap. This Gamorrean Guard soap is absolutely amazing. Okay, I am now on eBay. I'm going to take a screenshot of the auction here.
Oh, good.
I'm going to buy it now. I'm buying a Gamorrean Guard and a C-3PO Star Wars soap. Okay, I am going to bring these to Celebration. Okay, whoa! Shipping $9. Hold on there, Aunt Petunia. I don't know about this. This took a turn at the South Pole that I am not comfortable taking.
Uh-oh.
I mean, $9. Is that worth it, Steve? Is it worth it? Is it worth it for a joke? $9 shipping.
Some jokes are priceless, Skye. And,
okay, all right, fine. I'm doing it. I'm doing it there, Jamie Quintana at eBay. Whatever. Confirm and pay. It's bought. So I am bringing this to Celebration.
Orlando?
To Orlando. I'm going to put it in our bathroom, okay? And we're going to use it. The thing is, it's a funny thing. There's a great Dave Chappelle skit where they make fun of the fact that white people just use bars of soap. And it is true. It is a weird thing that white people will just use a bar of soap and, they will take it and, they will, clean all over their body and then just put it right back, and then someone else shows up and cleans all over their body, right? Isn't it weird? I mean, you do that. I do that. Don't you, Steve?
It is a little weird.
It is a little weird. That weirdness will never be more clear than by the fact that in my hotel room, whoever's staying with me, your only choice is going to be the Gamorrean Guard soap. Okay,
you're gonna throw away all the
absolutely. That is going completely away. You are only washing yourself with the Gamorrean Guard and his weird, nasty face, because you are going to get the Gamorrean Guard in every nook, cranny, and crevice of your body and put it back on the thing. And I'm gonna go in the next day and do the exact same thing. That's what the Chive Cast is all about, Steve.
All right, I am on board. I'm also glad that I'm not rooming with you.
Oh, no. I'm going to get tons of these. This is going to be a new thing. We're just going to bathe with only Omni soap.
Okay.
I learned that white people don't use washcloths. Did you know that? I'm serious. They had one bar of soap in the house. Every time I use it, somebody else's pubic hair was in it. So I use the cloth. Why you guys going to put the wrong bar of soap and your butt and all this? Maybe I need to wash my face or my feet.
Time Leonard.
All right. Well, hey, we could add a little bit of fun to that if you want.
How could we add fun to that, Steve?
With Gamorrean Guard Bubble Bath.
Ooh.
From the UK. This is from Addis. So it's your, if you really want to go all out with your with your Gamorrean Guard bathing ritual, you have some bubble bath as well.
Yeah.
Maybe
we could bring that in, and I could take a bubble bath and just invite random people into the bath with me. This is great. I wonder if my soccer bro.
I'm just picturing this gross, sludgy, colored, bubbling. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh god, you're gonna have to pay a special cleaning fee in your room if you use both of these things, I think.
Yeah, especially his weird shorts, all the hair falls off and clogs up the drain.
God. Oh god.
Okay, Steve. So I've washed my crevices with the bar soap, and I have luxuriated with the bubble bath. Now what do I do?
Mm-hmm. So now you got to put on your T-shirt, which there are several vintage Gamorrean Guard T-shirts. There's a nice yellow one. There's also kind of a baby blue colored one, and I've seen these for other characters too, but I don't think we've ever talked about them. So this is your attire, right? You start off with your T-shirt.
Yeah, they're really beautiful shirts because they have line art that I don't think is featured anywhere else. I mean, not line art, but just they
just
have
a graphic. Yeah,
a graphic. I have to say they make his muscles look a little bit more prominent. Like he looks a little bit more like a he lifts weights. Like a Star Wars collector. Yeah. It makes sense. You'd have to keep on changing that axe between hand to hand, or else you're gonna have just one arm that's super jacked, and the other wouldn't be at all. And he's kind of walking towards you in kind of a menacing way, and it's got the nice Times New Roman font in a circle around the figure. It's a really nice shirt. Which color are we going with, Steve? Purple or yellow?
Oh man! All right. Well, how about I'll go purple. You wear the yellow one.
Okay, yellow is my favorite color.
Okay, good. So now you pretend you got to put some. I guess you could put on one of those hairy pairs of shorts if you wanted to. I'm sure you could find something like that. But
I think that guy that we visited who dressed up like Klaatu might be able to help us out with that.
Oh yeah, that's right. All right, so now we move on to some footwear. We've got two different colored pairs of Gamorrean Guard socks, and these are from Charleston Hosiery. So there you go.
And these are the beautiful socks that it's got a picture, a full
a photograph,
photograph printed on the side of the socks.
Yes.
And that means you have exactly one wearing until you wash them, and then they are completely gone.
Yep. That's it. It's a one shot deal, but they got the I guess one pair is kind of like an orange and blue color scheme, and the other one's they're like Oakland Athletics socks, the green and gold. But I just when I saw these, I'm like, we should have a Gamorrean Guard softball team.
Oh yeah. Wow, yeah.
And it actually would go great with the next item. I don't know if you're ready to move on to that yet, but...
Of course, I mean, my feet are warm. What's next?
Okay, so to top it off, you slap on your Gamorrean Guard baseball cap, which it's like the classic, 80s Little League style mesh hat with the, trucker hat kind of thing now.
Yes.
But all the Little League teams back in the day would wear these. Like, my older brother had hats just like this, but they just had a D on them. So this would have been like the perfect. This would complete the whole thing. You go the shirt, the socks, the hat, and you have a Gamorrean Guard softball team. So it has this kind of more of a cartoonish looking depiction of 3 Gamorrean Guards.
No, 4.
And it's just.
There's 4. This is This is another really weird image. We need to really start trying to catalog these things as to where do these images show up, because this looks like it's the same artist who did the shirt, and again, it's fairly stylized drawings, and they just look like toughs. Like they actually look like jerks who hang around and talk to each other, like background characters in a gangster movie.
Right, exactly.
And they're just there's 3 of them together and then another off to the side, and they actually look menacing here.
They do, yeah. So I mean, and of course I think all these items are from the collection of Duncan Jenkins. So,
yes.
So Duncan could actually be the model for this.
Wow.
But yeah, so I mean, there you go.
Well, all the way from showering to getting dressed, I love it, Steve. And I can't believe I just bought Gamorrean Guard soap. Steve, you got to tell me to just close eBay when I am doing the podcast. But I think it'll be worth it.
Well, especially when you get to the Unloved segment, because that's when you can really get into some trouble.
Absolutely, because I just bought Gamorrean Guard soap. And why did I go in that whole thing about... You know why? Because it's like you never realize how gross a bar of soap is until you're using a Gamorrean Guard.
That is absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Steve, you also have a vintage vocab. And this one is going to cause a little controversy. This one I don't know about, Steve. I'm going to talk like this right now, and then I'm going to sing you a song. Okay, so I'm not going to let you change our vocabulary.
Let them folks change our vocabulary. Change our vocabulary.
Sophora, Frosty, MIB, MOJ, CMYKUC. It's vintage.
Steve, has it really come to this?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Lemcools mentioned... I was
kind of hoping you would pick this first.
The Lemcools mentioned this last month, and I let it slide. I even named one of my fantasy baseball teams after this idea. I named one of my teams Johnny Bench Shot. But I don't know what a bench shot is. Oh, I've been explained what it is. I've been told what it is by people who believe it exists. I've been told what it is by people who don't believe it exists. What in the name of Carmen Sandiego is a bench shot? Is it real? Discuss.
All right. Well, I'm going to try and keep this as simple as possible, because the more I try and get into details, the more lost I think we'll both get.
Okay.
So, all right. A bench shot, to me, was always something that was kind of nebulous. I still think it's nebulous. I think you'd agree with that, right?
Yes.
Very nebulous. Okay, so for one, I think the first thing to say is that the only ones I've ever seen that are, documented as such are these Gamorrean Guard figures that are cast all in black. So that's your first visual cue for this specific one.
Yes.
It's
a shadow guard. It's a shadow Gamorrean guard. It's completely black.
A death pig.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first, at least with this particular one, characteristic. But just generally speaking, what these are, as far as I understand, they're pre-production injection molded figures that predate anything that was molded at the production factory overseas. So these were created in the United States at the mold shop or mold facilities here in the U.S. So they're before anything that gets shot overseas. That's the first, and I think the biggest thing that differentiates them in terms of where they fit in the process.
So it's like a first shot from a mold in America, whereas most first shots the rest of the first shots come from molds in the Orient.
Right.
Like China.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is that they're shot in a different type of plastic. So whereas production figures or first shots, they would have, vintage figures, the torsos are usually that harder plastic, and then the limbs are that softer plastic.
Yes.
Right? So for the bench shot for this Gamorrean Guard, it's all shot in one plastic, polypropylene, I think. So it's kind of like that material that a Rubbermaid container would be made out of, and it's all in one thing. And it makes sense just because all it was really intending to do was just test the mold itself. So it's not like a first shot where they're actually using the same materials that would be used in production. It's just more about the mold itself before it gets sent overseas. So that's the second big difference. Beyond that, the big thing about these is that you really have to know exactly where they came from to kind of categorize them as such. And that's the main takeaway for me. I don't know how much further you want to try and go. I didn't want to. I know Chris Georgoulias is just probably seething at this point, but
well, no, because I haven't been talking, Steve. So whenever I talk, usually just falsity flows forth like wells.
I try to keep it as vague and somewhat simple as possible. But he goes into a lot more detail in the archive entries. There's something, I don't think we've really plugged this much, but one of the special features on the archive is the archive lexicon, which is basically just a dictionary for all these types of terms. So there's a whole write-up on them there, and then he has 2 write-ups on 2 different examples of these black Gamorrean Guards, one that has the footholes and one that does not. So I'd suggest, I'll put this link in the show notes too, but if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty details without us completely butchering it, that's probably the best thing to do.
$1 Vlix. Market Watch.
Okay, so like always, lightning quick. Brisbane Mike came through with some Gamorrean Guard auctions. He told me that there wasn't a whole lot of late, but he did send me a few, and I thought we'd do 3 kind of standouts, at least for me. So
can I just tell you, Brisbane Mike is the person I want to meet the most, in the entire world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I hope he's coming to Orlando. I really, really do.
Can we do a GoFundMe or GoFund yourself
to get Mike here?
To get Brisbane Mike here. I've never met the guy. He's been working like a dog for our podcast for 4 or 5 years. I don't even know how long.
No, it's
just, I mean, if they're like, hey, George Lucas is in the next room and Brisbane Mike is in the next one, I'd be like, listen, GL, you're great and everything, but, what have you done for me lately? All right, so we're ready.
All right.
So once again, I have to be within $50 for production, for domestic. Okay.
Yeah, I think these 3 they're all productions, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
So first we have a 65A carded figure, graded AFA 85. It's unpunched, but it is slightly yellow, so I think it has the yellow designation.
Steve, I'm going to do the thing of where I'm not going to answer you again.
Okay.
Because we're not going to get into a ton of feedback, except for the fact that I'm pretty sure we said that Leia Bouche debuted on a 65B back.
Oh, you're right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So the Ewoks did debut on the 65A back.
Which, yeah, doesn't make much sense, but they did.
Right. And we just sort of didn't think about it. So we're still in the realm of figures that debuted on the 65A back, like the Gamorrean Guard, which, not for nothing, but the 65 back run of figures is, like, absolutely astounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these are great. Like, such a great... I mean, not since the first 20, but I mean the first 12, I don't know. You had some duds in there. But it's really an impressive run. I guess we aren't at the end yet. But who have we had so far at 65 back debut? We've had Nien Nub, Akbar.
We haven't done Nine Num yet.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, we've had Akbar, Luke Jedi, Leia Bouche, Gamorrean Guard. These are great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 65 back debut, yellow. Yep. Of course, most Gamorrean Guards are yellowed because that's a lot of plastic.
It is a lot of plastic. And this one isn't that bad. It's like one of those cases where you can only really tell on the seal. That's where you can tell. Okay. Otherwise, if you kind of just looked at it, it looks quite good.
Pig seal. And you said it's AFA'd?
It is. It's AFA 85 with the yellow Y.
I'm going to guess 162 American dollars.
111.50.
Did I make it within 50?
Like just on the cusp.
No way. I am out by like 48 cents.
Yeah, by like 50 cents.
If I just said 150, which is what I was thinking, I would have been in.
You would have had it. But hey, it's good. At least it was on the lower end, right? I mean,
So $111?
$111. Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Still, yeah, but it's... Oh, man. All right, I'm just thinking back when...
No, wait, AFA 75?
No, 85. So...
85.
Whatever. It's still a Jedi 65 back, but it is really nice. So yeah, 111.50 for a 65A Gamorrean Guard. All right, you ready for number 2?
Of course. I'm 0 for 1.
Okay. All right, so the next one we've got is one of the KB 2-packs.
Ooh.
This one has the Gamorrean Guard and Darth Vader.
No.
It is, Pig Guard and Vader. And, actually, most of these are pretty much just beat to hell.
Yeah.
This one is looking pretty nice. It's unpunched. The bubble doesn't look like it's completely demolished. The Gamorrean Guard is actually standing upside, the right way up. It's not upside down or anything. It looks nice, and it has Darth Vader in it, along with Crunchee.
Yeah. Hey, do you think Crunchee's the same one who got choked by Luke?
Let's say he is. He just has a rough life.
Just a really rough thing. Yeah, and then he gets put in the KB pack. He's like, phew, finally my trachea is safe. Wow, now that's a 2-pack. I mean, it's not screen accurate, but anytime you've got Vader, I am going to guess it's going to be hard to be within $50 of this one.
Yeah, this is kind of tough.
$650.
811.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty awesome. It just is. It's great.
It is awesome. It is funny how crazy 2-packs are because
it's nuts.
Sometimes they go cheap, sometimes they don't. I mean, I remember 4 years ago buying the Han trench coat and Chewie, and I paid $475, and it was crazy. Yeah. It was just like no one would ever pay that.
And you have the one with Leia and Chewie too, right?
Yeah, Leia Bouche and Chewie, which I got from the Big Pick, and that was a little bit more unreasonably priced. Reasonably. Well, 811. That's a great piece. Thank you, Steve. That makes me happy to think about that existing.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, and lastly, we have something I don't think we haven't talked about yet, but it's the Australian Power of the Force carded Gamorrean Guard. So this was a Power of the Force figure that was only available in Australia. They are pretty tough to come by, and at least as far as I've been paying attention, they've always been pretty pricey. I don't remember what the last one I saw sold for, but anyway, it's you know, as you'd expect, it's pretty yellow. Looks like the top of the card is a little rough, and it looks like the punch is still there. So yeah, Australian Power of the Force Gamorrean Guard carded figure. It's not graded.
Wow. Well, let me think. It's tough. Yeah. It's tough because it's a super rare figure. People get really excited about it. I'm pretty sure, actually, I remember on the Imperial Commissary, Mike showing off that he got one.
Oh,
I know.
'Cause he was saying he got the whole run, right?
Yeah, I know that he has. I know that he has like the horns that pop up a lot and like break through, and so that's a problem.
Ah, right. Yeah.
So it's hard to get one where there's no broken bubble.
Yeah, I mean this one it doesn't seem to. It doesn't have a picture of the top. Unpunched card, bubble is perfect, though yellowed. So yeah, it shouldn't have that problem.
Okay, I'm going to say 715.
1,582. Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it makes sense. A lot of people are trying to complete that run.
Yeah, I mean.
Wait, 1,500?
Yeah, 1,500.
1,500. Yeah, that's a lot. Wow.
It's a lot.
Well, Brisbane Mike, you may have just brought 3 things to the table, but for a 65-back character, those are 3 pretty interesting things. That's great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, thanks again, Mike. Always just like, it's like you're just right there. It takes like less than 24 hours. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I sure hope he exists. I hope, like, in secret, he's not, like, a really attractive single woman. You know what I mean?
Catfish by
yeah.
A reverse catfish.
A reverse catfish. Okay, now I'm just going to pretend that with everybody now. I'm just going to pretend like all of our fans who we don't really know.
Oh, no.
Steve, well, let's do a little bit of feedback, right?
Right. Okay.
Because we have been getting a lot of feedback on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah.
The blog log pod has been getting a bunch.
Yeah, and so did the last episode.
Did it?
Both did. Yeah, the one with the Lemcools, that got a lot of good response.
Oh yeah. Well, it's because we keep doing this thing of where we're actually trying to talk to people who we haven't already talked to. That's a pretty cool thing here. Yeah. Let's see. Let's go with some of the commentary from the blog log pod because it's the most recent.
Okay.
Let's see. People seem to like the fact that my breakdown of Latara and Nisa as the Madonna and Horror Complex.
Yeah, there was some pretty good fan art with that one.
Yeah, there was. And Ron gave me proper teasing for when I called the buck wood. A shield made of wood. Shield. You see, you have to understand the way that I think, okay? Like, most people have it's not that I am smarter in real life. It's that when I think something stupid in real life, I usually know it might be stupid, so I'll slow down. But whenever I think something stupid on the Chive Cast, I just say it immediately.
You just go.
I just go. So I'm like, it looks like wood, it's wood. Because I know that's how people will remember that it's not wood.
It's serving a purpose, ultimately, yeah.
Now, one of the most amazing things to find out is we talked a lot about Kaink.
Yes.
And it turns out there is actually another vintage Kaink item, which is the Panasonic ad. And the vintage Panasonic ads, sometime I'd love to have Pete Vilmer on here just to talk about the Panasonic ads. That's been something I've been just some of the best things, just these weird pictures that were taken around 1988, commercials with Star Wars characters and Panasonic.
Right.
And Kaink is there, and there's a plush Kaink, and there's a Kaink modern toy, and there's a Kaink pin. We got Kaink coming out the Kaink.
All kinds of Kaink.
And then I think...
But it still wasn't enough to convince Chris to start a focus.
No, it wasn't. And, you know, sometimes, Steve, we have to give the award for Listener of the Month. And Listener of the Month definitely goes to Drew Timothy. Because he suggests, just as bands have devout fans, sometimes with intense carnal desires, or groupies, we must consider ourselves, of course, as devout Chive Cast followers, troopies. So, yes, you know, out with Space Freak, in with troopies. I totally... No, I guess I can't. I guess it's only fans of Skye should be troopies. Which means there are very few
That's a very
troopies out there.
discreet subset.
Yes. It's funny because, Steve, you're going to be on another podcast. Like, everyone asks Steve, you know, the Vintage Rebellion wants Steve. Who else is asking you on there, Steve?
It's the Toy Run.
The Toy
so
Run.
It's some of the guys up in Seattle.
Yeah. Everyone loves Steve. No one wants Skye on their podcast. I don't know
you
why.
get to do the live videos. That's I
yeah,
like
but I do those myself.
balancing.
People don't ask me. You know.
No, they asked you on Jabba's court,
I
right?
guess.
So you were solicited.
I'm so pleasant. My demeanor is so kind and welcoming. I don't understand why all these jerks don't understand that. Chris Fawcett reminds us that Andrew McGinley started the UDE acronym, which I think we mentioned, but I was too busy trying to take credit for OOD.
Yes, yeah, you're going for your pronunciation.
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked at the Rebel Scum thing, and it's funny, but it's also kind of sad. But we did get one reply on the Rebel Scum thread, and I'm
really?
waiting for the day that we don't get any, because I feel like that day is coming.
Absolutely.
But it's a username that goes by, it's a man, I think.
Oh, yes.
His name's Mike, but
he
says that he
emailed us before.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so he was saying that he had stumbled on the last show on his on a 3-hour drive, and he listened and watched on YouTube. And it's just, he mentions, I wish you guys would participate on Rebel Scum more, and it's true. Like it's been pretty tough to do that, and I try to make the effort to do more than just post the podcast, but I'll admit that hasn't happened much. So I don't know if there's what we can do, but anyway, I just thought that's something that I noticed. Like, oh yeah, he's absolutely right. This is really starting to die out here. But I will continue to post that thread, even if it's just you and me talking on it. I'll still
Yes,
do it.
you hold on, and maybe we'll all come screaming back to you. Yeah, we do have some messages. I'd like to clean out.
Okay.
Skye cleans out the inbox. Okay, good old Robert Owls listened to 76 and 77.
All right.
Extended his condolences for my family. I appreciate that. Like the stuff with Chris Fawcett. So that's all of the emails that we have from this year. Going back, Mark Sanders emailed me in September saying that the press release for the upcoming Rogue One movie product identified the U-Wing and TIE Striker as iconic. Not sure if it can be iconic if it's never been seen. And he said he'd like to be on the show. Oh my goodness. Well, we did say we wanted to talk to people. He said he's been listening to it for a long time. And, wow. All right. Well, Steve, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's interview Mark Sanders. Okay, you just... Well, don't email us again. Get on our Facebook page. Get on our Facebook page or something. We'll try and remember that. Steve, can you put that down in your notes for 81?
I will do that now.
Okay.
Mark Sanders, right?
Yes. Because he said he wanted to be on the show, and why not? Oh, my God, Steve. So I've been dating the same woman for the last 3 years, and it's been going great?
Yes.
It's been going great. While I was starting to date her, I was, like before we were serious, I was also like doing G chat with this kind of hot train wreck from Buffalo. And
you never told me about this.
yeah. No, it's actually funny because I described her to my brother, and he's like, I don't know her first name, but I know her last name, Akbar. Because like there are so many warning signals. Yeah, she was like, they just turned off my power in my apartment, and I broke up with the guy who I was sleeping with for 3 years, even though he was married. I was like, really? I'm coming over. We never met or anything. It never went anywhere. But she's the only person on the little left of my Gmail that it indicates if she's here. And like she's online right now, and I haven't talked to her in 3 years. So it's just very funny whenever I go to, it's still the same picture.
You check the Cast email address.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I remember her. Phew, that would have not been a 3-year successful relationship. So cool. Well, thank you for your patience, unless you don't listen to the show anymore and you're super duper angry. Let's see. So going through the inbox, Steve. This is kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. This has always been nice for me because, particularly when you don't send them to me beforehand, because it's just a complete surprise.
Yeah. Oh, Jonathan Jarzin cannot participate in the archive party, but he's actually offered to help us with our printing. I meant to tell you that, Steve.
Oh.
So we might actually get a better deal on making the card backs. So this should be an email. Oh my gosh, Mike Harvat emailed me this thing last Thursday. I did some translating for him. I should get back to that. Okay, at this point I'm just going through my things. A really fun thing. So I posted it. It's not about Star Wars, but it's about Transformers.
Okay.
So my parents took a Transformer. So there's the box and there's the inner tray. They took it out of the box, but they kept it in its bubble.
Okay.
And they said, do not open until the 21st century. And it was...
little time capsule.
Yeah, and it's signed by my dad and my mom, and it says... And it was from 1987.
That's cool.
I wrote, do not open until the 22nd century, and Space Freak Troopy Alexander Miller said, hey, I have a box for that. I want to thank you for the podcast, and sent it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just thought that was really cool to be just given something for free for someone who listens to our show. That's one of the ways that we're paid.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, it looks like my Time Warner bill's overdue. Oh no, that's going to be auto paid. Should I stop doing this?
Are you using the Chive Cast to pay your Time Warner bill?
Do you know how I need an entire podcast just to check my email? That's how bad it is.
I think so.
Did I ever play that awesome Sabritos commercial that we got?
Yeah.
We did. So
yes.
I did remember to play that from James Ackland.
I'm pretty sure you did. Yes.
Okay, good. It's weird that his name is James Ackland and he's from New Zealand, and I think there's a part of New Zealand called Auckland, right? That'd be like, my name is George Cleveland. Let's see. And then, of course, we have a response from Chris Georgoulias, and I think I'm going to have to put in his full drop, because I actually took out of the Blog Pod his approval of my drop for Chris Georgoulias, so here it is.
Right.
Chris Georgoulias. Chris Georgoulias. Chris Georgoulias. Chris Georgoulias. Yeah. Chris G, yeah! I've got 2 Pokemon, and you've got none. Choose, you lose. Yeah! Go take pictures of my collection, yeah!
Here it is, his response to the EP crib. Crib? Q? In a manufacturing facility, or factory, they keep spare tools, drill bits, tape measures, etc. in the tool crib.
Mm-hmm.
Also what I call my underpants. Never heard the term before, but his explanation of EP crib As it relates to engineering, makes total sense. They'd need a storage location for their engineering's own parts, EP among other things, and use. It would be separated like that, surely gates or otherwise locked off, because they'd still be in the development stages and need access to their parts, and they wouldn't want others to take them at will. On top of that, it sounds like they did their testing right there. Engineers at companies often do their own quick, rogue, and informal testing. Some of it could have been more official in capacity as well. So there is Chris Jorgoulias jumping in on last month's vintage vocab of EP Crib.
Yep. Awesome.
Hoo-wee, Steve, that was a lot of feedback.
Yeah, definitely the most we've had in a while. So hey, that's good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, definitely. Wait, I'm going to respond. I'm actually going to respond to Mark Sanders right now. Hi, Mark. Thanks for the email. I am typing it whilst recording episode 80. Let's get you on 81. Thanks for your patience. Wampa wamp. Well, I'll say wampa wamper. I'll throw an R there at the end. Skye and send. And that, my friends, is how you respond to an email. Now, what should I say to that poet from Buffalo? Okay, I'll just close out here.
Yeah, don't stay in the Gmail too much longer.
I won't. That is, man. Things are going really great, man. I gotta say, it's yeah, things are going well. All right, Steve. Well, the next episode will be another Blog Pod with you and a great producer,
David and Scott. Scott should hopefully be able to join us as well.
Oh, right.
So
one of the producers of Pop Culture Quest.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then episode 81. Is there any more people who we don't know about who we want to...
You know what? I was going to say, when you mentioned that one, I feel like there might be another one or two that we've been meaning to get to in the Facebook messages. I'm writing a mental note to myself right now.
Oh, are you?
To go back and check those. Yeah, I think there might be another one or two. So sorry, guys.
You can't all be as lucky as was it Mark?
It's Mark. Yes.
Yes, that's Mark. Can't all be as lucky as the guy I just wrote an email to and immediately forgot who I wrote to. Yeah. Well, maybe we can have kind of a catch-up episode. I don't know who the character is. Steve, who's the next episode?
We got another guard. So that's the first hint. I think you can probably get it, right?
Lando?
The Emperor's Royal Guard. So
that's
a pretty sweet figure. You're onto something when it's a good lineup. We got a good run going for a while here.
Wow. Emperor's Royal Guard. Another one of the... You know what I'm realizing, Steve? The 65 back must have been the ones that I bought the most of. Like, I must have been right there. Maybe when the movie came out, my parents took me to Ben Franklin or something, or Zayas, or And in Hope, or Mr. Big's Toyland on Moody Street in Waltham. Because, I mean, of all the figures I've thought about focusing on out of nostalgia, it's been Leia Bouche, Emperor's Royal Guard, Gamorrean Guard, Biker Scout, you know.
Yeah. It's a good lineup. So it'll be fun to get into another one.
Yeah, it will be. And of course, by the time you listen to this, I'm sure the archive party tickets have already sold out. So you're too late, losers. Way to hate puppies.
I hope.
Oh, wait a minute. Unless it isn't sold out, in which case go to the Chive Cast whatever.
Otherwise, please do go to the archive blog. That's where the tickets can be found. And hope to see you there.
All right, sounds good. Well then, in that case, Steve, Wampa Wampa.
Adios.
With his colorful Star Wars picture display set and